Welcome in. It is day 211, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we are going to be going into a monster-sized game. This was a big Kickstarter, and it's one that I really wanted to invest in, but I just wasn't sure if the game was going to land for the price it was. Well, unbeknownst to me, one of my friends did invest. And boy, did I regret not doing it myself, because the game was one of my favorites that I played all of 2022. The game is Foundations of Rome. Wowzers, is that a big box? That is just a huge box. The concept is that you basically have a board that has all these spaces to go to, and you're trying to all get ownership of the spaces. And so there's going to be cards coming out, and you're going to be able to acquire the cards. And as the cards go further and further to a side, they get cheaper and cheaper. So you're trying to get these at a reasonable cost, but sometimes you have to pay big because one of the cards is over an area that's right in between a bunch of your numbers, and if you don't get it, you're not going to be able to have a huge section. Because as you get ownership out on the board, eventually you can start to place out your buildings. And if you can place a building out in a section, you're going to now, when it gets to certain scoring times, be able to score those buildings. Now, the buildings score in a few ways. One of them is going to score you pure victory points. So this is all about trying to build up and have huge endgame points, and it's all about that. Another one is going to be getting you lots of money, and that's what's going to be able to help you to acquire other things. And it's extremely important to be trying to build that up so that you're going to be able to go out there and continue to build up that. And you're really just about trying to maintain this balance, because you're going to be able to put out some buildings and then start to realize that other ones are based on what's around them. So now you're trying to get more of those. You also have to control your population, as this is important. There's a third style of building that's in charge of population. So you're trying to do this balancing act while also fighting off your opponents, because you don't have your own board. Everybody's on a shared board. And so you're all trying to get out these different buildings that you all own. And it's just such an intriguing game. Now, many of you know that earlier this year, I reviewed the game Chinatown. Well, this is Chinatown to the 10th degree. This is such a better version of what Chinatown is. This is far more competitive. Instead of it randomly assigning all of the stuff to you and then you having to trade, instead, now you're in a situation of, okay, we can instead be trying to bid for all of the stuff. I think bringing in the bidding is such a superior way of doing it. And there's extra cards thrown in there that allow you to cause chaos. It can cause it so that you can wipe out an entire row. It can cause it so that you can go off and get something for cheaper, or you can score more victory points. This game is really top notch, and it came with such awesome miniatures. You're not putting out a little cardboard piece. You're putting out full buildings. When you're done, your building looks like you have built Rome. That was the idea. Between all the different style buildings, you have got an extremely unique looking setup, and I think it's great. So for me, this was an amazing game, but let's jump into our 7 categories and see where it lands there. When it comes to the art, I don't think it takes much to see. This box is stellar, and the pieces and the board follow it. The art is unbelievably well done. It is something that grabs the eye. You know, I saw it when I was on Kickstarter, and I wish I had invested. Now, if you go to a store and you see this box, yes, the size alone will get your attention, but the art will follow it up. You're going to be intrigued, and you're going to be trying to figure out what the game is. Thumbs up. Your components. I don't think it's very hard to point out that when it comes to this game, this is going to be some of the best components you've ever seen. Instead of doing miniatures of your characters for battles that, well, I enjoy them, sometimes you don't really need these miniatures. They can bring up the price. Miniatures, of course, rise the price here, but the miniatures are also helping you to build a city. It is such a fun aspect of seeing this three-dimensional city begin to come to get together. It's such good components. Unbelievable. 5 out of 5, top of the line. Thumbs up. Your price. Now, this game was a Kickstarter, and I didn't invest not because I was worried about spending $60 or $70 or $80, because it was like 200 maybe, might have been more than that. It's not a cheap box. And I'm not sure if this really made it to stores. I know it did, but it did not make it in a mass way. You're never going to see this in Barnes& and Noble. You're never going to see this in a Target. And you're not going to see it in probably 4 out of 5 stores. You're probably seeing it in 1 out of every 5 game stores. And it's only a copy. And it's not going to be cheap. Now, keep your eyes out. Maybe on Amazon or in these stores, the price will dip because the game is so expensive and people aren't going and looking for it. But for me, the price is unbelievably high. That being said, the game you're getting, it's a game that you're going to be happy to display. It's a game that you're going to be happy to play with your friends, your family, your game group. It works with everybody. It's not complicated, and yet it's got so many layers to it. I think it's worth its price. I regret not buying it because I realize now that the expensive price was worth every penny. It's a thumbs up. Your difficulty. I just said it. This is not a game that's going to shy people away. You jump into this game and you're going to be able to enjoy this with anybody. I could bring this to my sisters and my parents and say, let's try the game out. And I'm not afraid of them not understanding what they're doing within the first 10 minutes. It's easy to pick up, and yet you have so many options on how to play the game as far as how much you want to be thinking ahead, how much you want to be playing in the moment. You definitely can get expert level and experience levels to want to play this right next to kids and beginners. So for me, thumbs up. Replayability. Now, this may take a while, so it may not be a back-to-back one, but I've played it back-to-back weeks. I could see playing it back-to-back days. I think this is one that could get to your table minimum on an average of once a month. I think that it has that capability. So even in a big collection, I could see this getting to your table at least once per season. So I think that it has loads of replayability. Thumbs up. Keys to victory. I mentioned that you have those 3 different factors. You got your population, you got your money, and you get your victory points. And you've got different scoring grounds that come out. So it's all about trying to prep yourself and at the same time take advantage of specialties, know when it's time to activate things so that you're able to build things in a better way. You know, you might be going early on all after that population and then shift it and hit all those victory points. You have the ability to change up what's on the board at times. There are certain cards that give you the ability to say like, oh, I put out a big building that takes up 9 spots, but I have a card that says I can destroy a building and then I can build off of it. As long as every spot that was in the initial building is used in all of the future buildings and all 9 spots are refilled, you can do that. I think that that's such cool aspects to the game. It gives you so many layers for those different keys for the victory that it's a huge thumbs up. Is it unique? So we already compared this to Chinatown. So in the base version of the game, yeah, it's ability of get a spot, have your building fit into the spot. That is not unique. But in Chinatown, the buildings literally fit spot for spot. So you could put a dim sum restaurant into a single spot and everything worked that way. And then you could grow them. In this, you have so many buildings of such larger size that you can't possibly get it unless you have not only, say, 7 or 8 spots available, but in an extremely specific order in order to get that building in there. And then you're worrying about how it scores off of other things touching it. So you might want to do something and then you realize like, I really want to do this. It's great points for me, but it actually helps out this person who's already winning a little bit more than it helps out me. Maybe I need to change my strategy up. So I think that while it has the base of the Chinatown game, the way that it expands beyond that is extremely unique. I got to give it a thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? This is one of the best games of 2022. Right now, if I were to be going through my list in my head, it's got to be in my top 5. It was a great, great addition to our game night. It was one that I cannot wait one day to add to my own collection, and it's one that I highly recommend for all of my viewers. Somebody in your group should invest, get this, and you should get it to the table. It's unbelievable. Well, it has been day 211. We've been speaking about the game Foundations of Rome, and you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.